Hey guys, Buffing Game Bat today, bringing out a video. Today we're going to be discussing Hazard Zone in Battlefield 2042 and some things about this. Recently, Temporyal, who's a Twitter leaker who leaks information for Battlefield, recently took to Twitter. Now he has a lot of content there for Battlefield 5, leaking a lot of unreleased weapons, assets, things like that. And recently he was active again, or started to be active again, mainly releasing things regarding Hazard Zone in Battlefield 2042. So I'll link down below in his Twitter, so you can go ahead and check that out for yourself, Temporyal. So we're going to go through a lot of his information here and then give some thoughts about the mode itself and why I think this is going to be a huge competitor to Call of Duty's Warzone, as well as just some of the other BRs on the market, because official news from DICE states that this is not a BR. Really what DICE has said, what we've heard previously, is that Hazard Zone is a brand new mode, it is not a Battle Royale, and that it's a high-stakes, squad-based experience. So that's really the only official word we have from them. However, we know, along with the other modes for Battlefield being the All-Out Warfare, which is the standard Battlefield 2042 multiplayer, and then we have the Portal, that this one mode has to be some sort of competitive high-stakes game. So the information we have here that Temporyal released now, because of the closed alpha which started taking place, all this information is data mined out of that. So obviously this is all subject to change. It's also nothing official. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. But this is where Temporyal did get this information, is by data mining the NDA closed alpha, which took place near the mid to end of August there for, I believe, about a week and a half, or about a week total in length for a couple different systems. So Temporyal says that Hazard Zone seems to indeed be a mix between Escape from Tarkov and the Hunt Showdown. The orbital map in Battlefield 2042 has built-in support for this game mode. Other known locations cannot be verified without additional data. No signs of Hazard Zone exclusive map. So if we think of context of, let's use Warzone as an example, there's not, from what he can tell from the data, there's not an exclusive Verdansk type experience or specific map for Hazard Zone. It will be able to take place at what it looks like on a few different maps, or maybe even every map for 2042. So now keep in mind Escape from Tarkov and the Hunt Showdown. So we'll get more into that later in the video, but both of these are PvE, PvPvE, high stakes experience games. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but this is going to be one of the reasons why it could be a big competitor to Call of Duty's Warzone, and like I said, some of the other BRs that are currently out there on the market. So if we get into the next tweet, that he says, expect to collect data drives from crashed satellites in Hazard Zone. After a briefing screen, you'll insert the little bird, so you have some sort of insertion infill scene, which would be really cool to see. It is up to you to search the area. Danger of losing equipment can be countered with loadout insurance, one of numerous tactical upgrades. So loadout insurance there, again, giving more credence to the fact that this is more of a PvPvE, high-stakes Escape from Tarkov-esque type game mode, where if you die in Escape from Tarkov, you're dead and you lose that loadout unless you insure it and it happens to be recovered. If a player takes it, you lose all your gear for good. So there's stakes there. You're basically spending in-game currency in Tarkov to bring all this gear and weapons in with you, and if you die, you risk losing that for good. So you're spending that in-game currency, and potentially there's a risk reward there, which is a good thing to see for this game mode, if that is in fact what it is. So the next tweet here, Uplink Stations. So Battlefield Hazard Zone maps seem to feature various points of interest like ammo stations and uplinks. Here you can call in the Ranger or the Robot Dog or the ATV. There are also links to respawn sequences in the game, like start, pause, resume, or abort. So again, it seems like there will be some elements like we see from other BRs like Apex, Warzone, where you can respawn your teammates. Even though it's high risk, high reward, you can, it seems, have some sort of respawn element, which is good, because that's something that's really frustrating with Tarkov. If you do get killed, you're done and your teammates have to finish that raid without you. So it will be good if there's some way at some point in the round or in the game mode itself to bring back your teammates or come in as a new player, essentially. So next up, you can leave Hazard Zone. This is the extraction. So the extraction, again, is something very similar to Tarkov, which again makes it a really unique gameplay experience. You can leave Hazard Zone by using extraction zones, so landing zones for helicopters, which can be claimed and activated. And extraction can also fail if you miss the helicopter. And then here's basically a money emoji, so hinting to the fact that there's going to be in-game currency. Hazard Zone currency is probably the key to expand your weapons, gadgets, and perk collection. That'll go to the tactical upgrades as well. But basically, if we look at Tarkov, you can spend in-game currency to extract at certain points, or you can get out at other free points. However, this seems to be, if you're in the middle of a mode, you have the gear, you just got in big firefights, maybe you need to get out of there, you have a lot of money, you can use that currency to call in and exfil immediately, and a little bird will come and get you. So that's pretty cool. Again, lending more information to the fact that it is more of an Escape from Tarkov type game mode, which is really good to see. And then another map was data mined here, that being Discarded, which is the map in India. So logs from previous playtests reveal another Battlefield 2042 map with hazard zone support. That's Discarded. So satellites also have 3 different sizes and might crash during a round. There is a lot of in-engine data like flaming debris, trails, shockwaves, impacts, and other effects. So that's going to be cool because now there's 2 maps that are confirmed to at least have in the game files for hazard zone. But also we have some sort of evolutionary effects that will be going on in the game zone. So obviously in the game mode itself, we're going after those crashed satellites and the data drives. So if those satellites are coming down mid-round and there's some sort of evolutionary event, obviously if you and a bunch of other teams are on the map and see this, see a satellite crash, you can tell what kind of size it is, what you're going to get if you're able to exfil with that data. If it's a large satellite, you're going to end up making more money. Again, high risk, high reward. A lot of teams will probably go for the larger satellites, and it's just a matter of who comes out of there alive and can exfil successfully. Next up for those tactical upgrades. So Temporyal tweets, here's a list of 12 tactical upgrades you and your soldier for Battlefield Hazard Zone. More ammo and extra spawns, additional storage and faster healing. Keep in mind that this is a work in progress, so all this might change. But if we look at the tactical upgrades currently that he was able to data mine, spotting duration, starting ammo, loadout insurance, satellite info, which is probably some sort of like UAV, loadout insurance. Obviously, if you die and you respawn, maybe you'll get that loadout back, which is cool. Again, that's something that basically you have in Tarkov, but you don't get to respawn in Tarkov. So loadout insurance, if you die, that you have something that you'll get that loadout back by spending that extra money pre-game. Satellite info, again, that you basically a UAV, probably who's within the vicinity, other teams, things like that. The good thing about Battlefield is there's no ghost or anything, so you'll see people that are on the UAV if they're in the vicinity of the coverage of the drone. Deploy speed, again, maybe you can deploy a dead teammate quicker. Extra respawn beacon, extra intel storage, so you can exfil with more intel storage items that you go in to collect. Throwable ammo, faster healing, ammo increase, bonus AI reward, and bonus intel reward. So all that's really good stuff that you get there. And then again, Orbital is the first map that was data mined for this, which is pretty interesting. And then we also have the, like I mentioned, the AI soldiers. So there's also the AI soldier experience that should be coming to this game, which is basically a lot like the Hunt Showdown and Escape from Tarkov. So according to some data, they can give you reinforcements, parachutes, solo, but you might encounter AI soldiers like patrolling units using the Jaguar or the different vehicles throughout Hazard Zone. So this, again, a lot like Tarkov and the bosses and the scabs. So this is really good information. The scabs and Tarkovs, and then you have scabs, which are just base enemy AI, which are pretty easy to kill. However, they can have super aim and shoot you pretty easily. But then you also have scav bosses in their bodyguards, and the scav bosses are very deadly, and so are their bodyguards. And then you also have raiders, which are extremely deadly. So you have different levels of AI on the map along with the player base in Tarkov. So you have maybe 12 total players in a specific map on Tarkov, and then you have a lot of scavs. You'll have a typically a boss with 4 to 5 bodyguards, and then you'll have raiders, which again are very dangerous to encounter. But if you can kill them, the raiders and the boss, scav boss, you're going to get more loot out of that, which is going to in turn be able to be sold for more money. So again, high risk, high reward game mode. So let's talk a little bit more about this mode and why this is probably going to be the direct competitor and a really good thing for competition. Specifically, I think this is going to be the alternative to Warzone. So at this point in time, Warzone's basically very drawn out. The support for this game has been very, very slow to be integrated. They seem to be integrated now. We saw the Cold War integration with all the weapons from that are just broken. And now we have Vanguard, which is the World War II game, which is also going to be integrated with those weapons into what initially was a modern warfare, modern timeline battle royale with Warzone. So it's become a very convoluted game. However, here with Hazard Zone, it really takes Escape from Tarkov, which is one of my favorite games. I love playing that on PC. It just is one of those things that you really need to grind at. And here it seems like Battlefield's making the right move. Instead of making another BR, which they failed with for for Firestorm because they just didn't have the manpower to really support it. They went in another direction. What's the next best thing to a BR? And that's PvPvE. So player versus environment. And you look at what the best game for that is out there. That's Escape from Tarkov. And Escape from Tarkov, again, it's a very realistic, and I use the term realistic a little bit loosely, but it's a realistic hardcore shooter where, again, you're going in with high risk, high reward. You pay the money for your loadout, your gear, and then you can pay for the loadout insurance. However, if you get killed in a raid and another player takes that loot, then you lose it for good. If a player happens to kill you and doesn't take that loot out, then you get that back, which is cool. But again, it's a very high stakes game, and the firefights in that game definitely raise your heartbeat. So this is something with the Warzone. There's no risk reward anything. You basically just can run in and do whatever you want. Oh, we lost, we'll just restart the next round. Here in this case, it seems like maybe if you die in the raid in this game mode of Hazard Zone and you try and go into another round, you're going to be limited with what you can take in. And this, again, being a squad-based experience, you're going to want a squad that's built to complement each other instead of just running the best meta weapons. And that brings me just really quick to the meta point. If we look at, I'm going to use Warzone as the best example just because that's what I play the most, besides Tarkov, as well as the problem with Warzone and meta weapons, right? You have these broken weapons which don't get around to being patched nearly as fast as they should, and everyone in the game can use them as long as you have them unlocked. There's no restrictions to what you can take in, what weapons you can take in, how many attachments, anything like that, compared to the old school or type of Battle Royale, which was just all ground loot. So with Hazard Zone, you have to, it seems like you'll have to pay money or build your own kits, what you're going to bring in. And again, there's a high risk, high reward there. You're not going to be able to hopefully bring in the best meta weapons every single time. It'll probably depend on the map and then how much currency you as a player has to spend to build those weapons. So if you're low on currency, you might not be able to bring in the best meta weapon build. You may be able to only afford very bad loadouts, which again is something that's really reminiscent of Escape from Tarkov and makes that game interesting. And there's incentive not to rush around and play all crazy like you see in Warzone. So it's really a slower Battlefield tactical approach. It's really, again, fits perfectly with Battlefield. This is going to be an exciting game mode. It's going to shake up, I think, the entire gaming genre when Hazard Zone releases, and I'm really excited to get my hands on this, especially with the Battlefield Portal. It seems like you'll be able to customize and make your own games for Hazard Zone there. With the Portal weapons, we'll have to see what kind of other weapons they bring in the Hazard Zone, if you can bring in those Portal weapons to the base game as well, or if that's just going to be customized Portal builds of the game. But again, this game looks a lot of fun. PvPvE, high risk, high reward. This is going to be a great game mode, and I love Escape from Tarkov and I love Battlefield. So combining those two is going to be great. And I think Warzone, specifically Warzone, is going to have a lot of competition with this game mode, and it's going to be a rude awakening for the Call of Duty devs and Warzone and the mishandling, I would say, of that game mode for so long when you have something like this coming out, which is honestly, in my opinion, Tarkov is much more fun and entertaining than any Battle Royale with the PvPvE. So this should be a really good game mode. I'm excited to get my hands on it. Let me know down below what you guys think of this mode. Do you like Escape from Tarkov? Are you excited to play Hazard Zone if it is similar to that in Tarkov, but on Battlefield? And obviously there's going to be differences, respawns, things like that. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the content, go ahead and give a like and subscribe to the channel for more Battlefield 2042 content coming up. Till next time, Buckner Gaming, out.